For anyone that cares about the beauty of Door County and preserving it, this is a place that promotes it in every way.
The school itself is really important to the community because it brings people together. And the School of Art isn't just for artists, it's for families and people who want to experience something as a family.
Programmatically, we've grown exponentially in the last 10 years. The caliber and the level of programs has changed. Operationally, we're much stronger than we used to be, so it's an exciting time to be part of it.
Every year, it gets more and more professional. And what has happened now is that the art school has run out of room.
We need to expand the school for sure to grow, and we have the capability to also rehab some facilities that are in dire need of rehab. And I think for us to really grow to the next level, we need larger campus and better facilities.
One of the goals that I have is to find a transformation from a single building that they have now to a campus. The acquisition of the Cohen property really allows a substantial breathing room that it can grow from a single building on a relatively tight piece of property to, again, a campus.
Our children's programs are growing winter and summer. So that means we have to have space when it comes down to it. And of course, our dear little children's studios have they're rotting away, sad to say, and they're beyond repair.
Kids have been a part of our programming since our founding in 1965, but our kids have never had a year-round dedicated studio space. So they're operating in seasonal buildings that have been here for over 50 years. They don't meet the educational needs or the safety needs or the space needs of our kids.
I think as public schools have really declined in their teaching of the arts, as their budgets have dropped, I think Peninsula School of Art has become the place in this region where kids come to learn about the arts. And right now they don't have the space for that. One of the things that we're building that's a really pressing need is a youth studio wing.
About 10 years ago, we started a large community outreach program, and that participation has grown to almost 3,000 kids and families on an annual basis. So having a dedicated year-round space for them would make a huge impact on the kinds of programming we can offer our community.
So we're building 4 studios for kids that can be opened up to each other under a new gabled kind of a barn. That will be the youth studios. Those kids can also break out onto a courtyard in nice weather, work outside, and experience that campus-like character.
The other thing we need is, of course, we need a safe turnaround where if we bring them in buses, we can get the bus around, drop the children off safely, and get them into the workshop. Those are the things we never anticipated, 25 or 30 years ago.
So we're trying to fix all that and to really provide kids with the right facilities they need to learn about the arts.
The adult programming has also changed, and we have more nationally recognized faculty coming in. So having adequate studio spaces and equipment so that these creative learners can come from all over the country is really important.
We're building 2 adult studios, not as direct additions onto this building, but as separate pavilions out in the landscape. And we're talking about brushing out an old orchard area that's been full of invasives and establishing an outdoor events lawn, and around it having a series of studios that would be devoted to adult education. And so each studio would have its own pavilion, its own building, that a master painter could teach a dozen or so adults the art of watercolor, of oil paint, and have their own exterior courtyard to break out into, or break out onto the lawn and paint the landscape out there. It allows this sense of a campus, this sense of growing out into nature.
We talk a lot about that in the technology and how it impacts each of the art forms, whether that's traditional photography or whether that's printmaking, or whether that's 3D printing. So having access to those kinds of tools to develop their own practices and expand their art knowledge is really important.
We're building what might be called a kind of digital wing, where we're going to have an area for printing, where artists who are working on digital work, or people just want to print a precedent like of what a good watercolor looks like, they'd have an opportunity to hook up their computers and print from it. And we're also building a digital studio where photographers, for example, who are studying here could work with a master photographer and learn how to edit their work in Photoshop. But also as part of that, there'd be a photography studio where they might do still lifes and then immediately edit them and print them. And they would have windows looking out to the courtyard, the same courtyard as the kids would be experiencing, preserving some of the beautiful landscape you can see behind me. So we're going to be maintaining that landscape and then framing it with an exterior courtyard. And that would all occur out in the front of this building.
I think art is an extremely important thing for every person. It not only stretches your brain, develops your brain in a way that we don't normally think. I think it allows people, both adults and children, to express themselves. And I think that this is why that school is important.
It's been a nonstop evolution, and I think that reflects art in general. If, as an artist, you continue to evolve, and as a school, we continue to evolve. We have to have a bigger space because we need it. We have the students, we have the demand, and now we need to create the space.
An organization and a place like the art school has got a personality of its own, and it has an integral place and part of the community as a whole. And it is something that is extremely important, but anytime an entity doesn't try to grow and reinvent itself, it's stagnating and running the risk of becoming irrelevant. And if it becomes irrelevant, it is gone.
To be a vital entity, you have to keep growing, right? Just like we are, personally as artists, we need to keep growing, and the school needs to keep growing. All of the arts organizations in Door County count on the kindness from all kinds of benefactors throughout this county. But I really believe that this school, whether or not you've ever utilized it, taken a class, or had anyone take a class, it's so vital to the arts here. We have to have a vision. People don't understand that in order to grow, you have to think ahead. And if we had never put up the Gunzel Gallery, I wonder if this school would still be here. I just don't know that we could have sustained what we've got, and we keep growing and we keep getting bigger. And for a while we were just a local art school, then we were a regional art school, and I really believe now we're a nationally recognized school of art.